daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Daily Newcastle podcast, your home for everything black and white on Tyneside. I'm Michael Grahamslaw and today we're going to be talking about something that we just didn't feel like we'd be talking about years ago, but now we're talking about it so much. Champions League nights at St James's Park, and to help me do it, I've got long-time friend, now Iain Mackay. How's it going, mate? You alright?
It's going great, Michael. I'm quite excited that we've got a big game like this, Benfica, European pedigree, etc., to try and get over that horrible game that I listened to at Brighton. I can't believe we got nothing out of it. We were so good in that last half an hour compared to them. But yeah, that's what we need. Bounce straight back.
Yeah, exactly what Eddie Howe said in his press conference. It felt like we needed something straight away, and that's what we've got. Obviously, Tuesday evening, Newcastle take on Benfica. One of those European games that can really define a season. I mean, it doesn't look like it. They've lost to Karabag and Chelsea, but they're much better than they give them credit for. And they were decent against Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, who was their new manager, wasn't at the start of the season. How does it feel seeing Jose Mourinho back in, well, how is it going to feel seeing Jose Mourinho back in the dugout at St James's Park? Because he's always a controversial figure, but some love him and some hate him. What camp are you in?
I'm in the love him, really, because he's had the good grace to have an appalling record at St James's Park when he's brought Chelsea and Manchester United there. Although I think he won his last visit, which was his first win. And also, of course, very respectful to Mr. Robson, who took him under his wing as a young man. So, yeah, he calls St James's Park Bobby's house, doesn't he? So, I like Jose. I do.
Same.
I'm amazed that he's had to go and manage in Turkey for a year or two. I think, do you know what? He would be brilliant if they'd put him in at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, he would have been.
He's got this job now. I know.
Yeah, it looks like Sean Dyche, which is going to be a bit of a weird one. But yeah, Jose Mourinho. I remember when Chelsea had already won the league. I think it was 2 seasons back to back. They came to play us at St James on the final day of the season, and he'd play like Hilario or Lenny Pidgley in goal, and you'd see the likes of Titus Bramble score for us in a 1-0 win. And it's like, are you just doing this because you love us secretly? Because Lenny Pidgley ain't playing against anybody else. But
it was a great header. Was that the header or was that the volley?
I think it was the volley.
The volley.
To be honest, he might have done it twice.
He did do it twice, but I can't remember which one's which.
Yeah, one was against Hilario, one was against Pidgley. But yeah, the only good memories I think anyone has of Titus Bramble in a Newcastle shirt. But does kind of bring back days of Newcastle United in Europe when he was there. I've certainly felt the buzz across the city the last few months. Hasn't quite been what it was the first time around, but it still feels quite special, particularly like even when you watch it on the telly. You're at Benfica, you were saying, weren't you? I'm at Athletic Club, so it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But again, we are looking at this going into another defeat. As we say, fine margins. Danny Welbeck doing the job on us at the weekend. It's been a bit stop-start. How important do you think it is that Newcastle get the 3 points on Tuesday?
Well, I think it's really important, not just for the Champions League qualifying. I think when you say there's not as much of a buzz, I think that's because there's 8 qualifying games. And we've won one away from home already. The jeopardy is not quite there yet. I think, if we're picking up enough points to be ahead of where we need to be, that'll be great. But then the buzz will really grow for the last few games. Equally, if the jeopardy's there for us to qualify or not by us drawing tomorrow, for example, I think it'll build, Michael. I think it'll build either way. But I do think this is the same as the Union Saint-Gilloise game, which we went to needing to bounce back from that heartbreak against Arsenal. And we played really, really well because it was Europe. Even those misfiring wingers that don't do anything in the league, Elanga and Gordon, looked pretty good against Union Saint-Gilloise.
They did.
So hopefully more of the same tomorrow night.
Yeah, you mentioned that, it's something I was going to pick up on. In Europe, the wing players, Gordon and Alanga, they've played both games, have looked incredible. Like, they've been really, really good against Barcelona, and same again against Union Saint-Gilloise. But they haven't really been in the league. Do you think that's because Champions League games are a little bit more expansive potentially? There's a bit more space to work with, or do you think it's just been one of those where it's maybe a coincidence? Who knows?
Well, I think Barcelona have afforded us the space because they were so attacking going forward,
Yeah.
and it's Barcelona, so everybody was really up for that. I think, if we're honest, USG was so dreadful um, that anybody
Yeah.
would have. You would have looked all right on the right wing that night, Michael.
Pace and precision, that's what I say.
What I hope it's not is that
Yeah.
Alanga and Gordon think they're so big that they only need to get up to play these European games. Gordon doing the same for England. He's superb in the last two England games. We really
Yeah.
hasn't seen that. I was expecting big things against Brighton, and he was fairly anonymous.
He
Like
was,
I
yeah.
said when we reviewed that game, though, I do think that he's hampered not having a Tino or a Lewis Hall behind him because I think he trusts them defensively and
Yeah.
he can concentrate on getting forward, whereas he's got half an eye on getting back to help Dan Burn out when it's Dan Burn that's left back.
Yeah.
So maybe he needs to trust Dan Burn. Dan Burn hasn't really let us down yet. He
He
does
hasn't,
sometimes
no.
end up in the car park, but fortunately Botman's always covered him.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I'd like to see those guys turn it on. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they're going to when it comes to my prediction.
Oh well, we'll look forward to that at the end. But yeah, it's for me. It's been the intensity for me. I think in Brussels there was even against Barcelona there was the intensity in the press, the energy that was showed, and it's for me. I'd say the confidence as well. Actually, it's been completely different to what we saw against, let's say, Brighton, for example. I think Liverpool and Arsenal, we showed that confidence for periods of the game. I think Arsenal, we were a little bit standoffish at times. But in the Champions League, we've just had that confidence to just go for it. I don't know if maybe that's because we're sitting here and thinking, oh, you know, what's the worst that can happen? We get knocked out. We can get knocked out by sitting back, or we can actually give these teams a game. But when you look at the league phase, you mentioned earlier there, we have 8 games. Barcelona already done. Union Saint-Gilloise, not exactly a massive fixture, but there's still PSG, Leverkusen, Marseille, Athletic Club, and PSV afterwards. And there's no easy points there, although PSV might look at it like at the way they played against USG. Do you think Benfica will be one of those where, well, how do you view it actually? Do you think that's one of the easier games that we have? Or do you think this is one where they could still put up a really, really big fight and still cause us a lot of issues?
And I think they're a good team. I think you said they're second in the Portuguese league,
Yeah.
taking points off the only team to take points off Porto, who are top. Got Jose Mourinho as manager now
Yeah.
as well. I would much prefer
Yeah.
that the previous manager had been there because we might have caught them off guard with St James's Park, etc.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho knows all about St James's Park, so I don't think we'll surprise them with the intensity that we play with or that the crowd gives. Um, but they're a good team, but they're a Portuguese team, and
Yeah.
you know we really ought to be. It's not a Spanish giant or a German giant. It's a Portuguese giant. So, and we're at home. I think we're favourites. We must be favourites.
Yeah, we are favourites, and to be honest, every media outlet I've seen it has us down as heavy favourites. I don't think I've seen one match preview that has us not winning, which is concerning to be honest, because it seems like people are writing off Benfica. And maybe if you lose to Karabag, that's something that has to happen. But if we do win, it'll be 6 points from 3 games. You realistically need 12, I would say, to qualify for the next round. If we do pick up a win, would you say that's sort of halfway there, really? I know statistically it is, but would you become very confident of us qualifying if we win on Tuesday?
I am already very
Oh,
confident of us qualifying, Michael. And if we
fair.
win against Benfica, I've got Benfica, Athletic, and who's the other one that we play at home? PSV.
PSV, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're those with the 3 points we've got are our 12 points. I'd look at anything we get away from home as a bonus, but I think we're capable. Maybe not at PSG, but it won't matter by then. I think we're capable of picking stuff up in Marseille and
Agree.
Leverkusen. But I think Marseille and Leverkusen are the two best teams we've got left to play. So it's important we win this, I think. Otherwise, we're going to put the pressure on ourselves to have to pick points up in those cauldrons. And I'd
Yeah,
rather not
absolutely.
have to do that. I'd rather go in,
Yeah, go on
relax,
to,
come back from Germany with a draw. As I say, that's the bonus then.
yeah,
But
Marseille
yeah,
is terrifying, isn't it?
Marseille. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not going to that one.
Yeah, I have to
I
say,
might even watch that one from behind the back of the sofa.
just in case the ultras are looking. But yeah, it's one of those like Benfica. You look at them and they've been a good team for so long now, but it's also one of those where they haven't beat an English team. I think they've got one win in 9 games against English sides. I know they knocked us out of the Europa League about 12 years ago now. Still haven't let go of that. Curse Rodrigo and Oscar Cardozo for that. But they've had a few turbulent months themselves. Mourinho's had to come in, particularly after that Karabag defeat. They don't look great. But I think we'll go into team news in just a moment. The only news you don't need is how good Bionic is, but we're going to tell you anyway.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Excellent stuff. So just heading into team news, the first thing I want to ask you about, centre-back partnership of Malik Chow and Sven Botman. Been absolutely fantastic, but do you think maybe this is the game we see Fabian Scherr return to the centre into defence? Because he's got to play sometime, and he is that good.
Surprised? I wouldn't be surprised. Instead of Malik Chow, what what we read, and I don't think we've seen. Maybe we have seen for the end of a half. Malik Chow is meant to be able to play right back as well, isn't he?
Yes.
So I would like Malik Chow to do right back, Trippier to come over to the left, and then Shark can play with Botman or Byrne centre half.
Mm-hmm.
Takes Byrne away from left back. I'm not
Yeah,
convinced. I know he works hard. He makes some great tackles, but he does get skinned by a fast winger,
he
and
does. Yeah,
I think that's Portuguese have got that in their armory. So
yeah,
something like that maybe. And of course, if you start utilising your centre halves as fullbacks, then all the bets are off, aren't they? I don't
yeah,
think he'll do it. I think he'll go with Chow and Botman if Trippier does play. Probably Burn
yeah.
again. I know there's need for strong rotation, but not at the start of the games. Um,
You think
where
it's
is
going to be
Lewis
one of
Hall?
those where, yeah, you'd love to have Tino or Lewis Hall available, and you think if probably even Saturday, if they were available, results would be very different because both of them are fantastic players. So you think it'll be same back four as we saw against Brighton then?
I think it'll be the same back four. Like I say, I would shake it up. It would be a completely different back four. And I'd
I'd be
like to
inclined
see
to agree.
Chow, who looks very good at bringing the ball forward when he's centre half. He must be good doing that down the right flank. He's a great
Potentially,
passer
yeah.
of the ball. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it. I don't know whether Benfica in the Champions League is the right time to experiment with it, but is it any
Maybe
less
not.
important than playing against Fulham on Saturday in the Premier League? I don't think so.
One of those. You got to rotate against one of them, haven't you? Because Botman is one of those players. He gets injured so frequently. I think it's 6 or 7 games now he's got on the bounce where he started and most of the time he's finished the game. So
Mm.
it's one of those where it is a worry getting so many minutes in his legs. And then a player that is a doubt if we move into midfield, Sandro Tonali, not an injury, thankfully, just training with an illness. But then Joe Linton apparently picked up an injury with Brazil, didn't look himself against Brighton. Would you say the door is very much open for Lewis Miley to start? He made his name in the Champions League for us 2 seasons ago. Is this his big break, do you think, this season?
I think. Will he start? I think he's on the bench. If Tonali starts, he'll come on for Tonali whenever that is, maybe
Yeah.
half time if we manage to get ahead. But I think Joe Linton should be left to watch from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Ramsey should start in Joe Linton's left midfield place. I thought Ramsey is attacking enough to work well with Gordon or Barnes, to have some good transition work up the left-hand side, which we've missed without the fullback. I think Ramsey playing in there compensates for Tino or Lewis Hall missing, and maybe that'll get Gordon moving forward like he does when he plays for England. Don't know. I think we've got to be attacking with this, so we have got to go for it. And
100%.
Ramsey's done what, 2 or 3 little cameos we've seen. Give him a start. He's a great player.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's one of those as well. We're kind of benefiting from Benfica's poor results so far because they're going to look at this game and go, how are we 3 games in without a point? Do we need to go to St. James's Park now and actually get something? And I think the winner in Mourinho will have him try and win the game. I know everyone says he's a very defensive manager, but with that, we might start seeing gaps and we might actually see the best of our wingers. But the big question is which wingers, should I say, do you think will start the game? Do you think it'll be the 2 Anthony's, or do you think Jacob Murphy did enough against Brighton to cement his place?
Every time Jacob Murphy comes on, I think he does enough to
True.
reinforce that he should start. Just because you've spent 55 million quid on Alanga doesn't mean he's got a divine right to get started. I probably would
Absolutely not.
start Murphy. I think he deserves it. And it all
Agreed.
ties into the rotation, if you're buying into rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mourinho in the Champions League, though, is a special thing. He's won the Champions League twice with 2 teams who've got no right to win it. Did he win it with
True.
Porto? And he won it with
Inter
Inter
Milan,
Milan?
yeah.
So, he'll be thinking they're only 2 games in. They've got 6 games left, and he might be thinking a point is a good start if they've got a home match coming up. A point at Newcastle isn't a bad result for them.
Not at all.
So, yeah, I don't know. I have faith in Mourinho parking his bus because we've seen him do it so many times in the Premier League, and we are fairly blunt unless we're playing Bradford or USG. So I don't think it would. I think it would only have to be a minibus he'd have to park and would keep us out. So I'm worried. I'm a bit worried he does that, but I've got my fingers crossed on the Champions League music inspiring them all.
Yeah. To be honest, I think it will. I think the telltale sign for me will be if Murphy starts. Of Murphy's the only winger that didn't get on the pitch against Union Saint Gilloise. Even though Alanga came off, it was Harvey Barnes that came on, and Gordon moved to the right, probably because he was on a brace. And it was the could he get a hat trick sort of thing. But I think it'll be one of those where, to reward performances, Jacob Murphy's played 27 minutes in the Champions League, got an assist against Barcelona, and to be honest, there's no way he's played more than 300 minutes in the Premier League, I don't think, and he's looked like one of our best players. Might have surpassed that at the weekend, actually, thinking about it, but he's looked like one of our best players every time he's been on the pitch, and for me, I think he's just got to start because his tactic is just beat your man and get the ball into the box. When you have a 6'6" striker, I quite like that idea. And Vultemada just impresses every time he's on the pitch. So he's definitely going to start. Osula's not going to get a chance. He might do 70th minute onwards, but I think Jacob Murphy, for me, should be one of the first names on the team sheet.
When we hear the talk, and we've talked ourselves about how the midfield and wingers have got to chip in with goals, Murphy Murphy's shooting prowess goes a little bit under the radar. But I can
It
remember
does,
some
yeah.
fantastic goals at Ipswich in off the bar.
Yeah,
Of course, the second goal when we beat Tottenham 6-1 was absolutely wonder strike from 25 yards. Who
yeah.
can forget the one against Crystal Palace that went in from the touchline? And he meant it.
He did.
Yeah, I think he scored another really good one. Was it at we lost
Chelsea.
4-2 at Chelsea? Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think I think that's something that we've got to keep our eye open for as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
so yeah, definitely start Murphy, and you've got to start Gordon with Vultemada up front. The midfield is where all of the choices are.
Yeah, 100%. Ramsey or Miley. To be honest, I'd like to see them both start because I think Miley was absolutely fantastic against Brighton. He came on and he was arguably our best midfielder on the day. And although Ramsey wasn't, should I say, as good as anyone else on the day, I thought he was maybe not. He wasn't poor. He was bang average, really. But he's the like for like Joe Linton replacement, should I say? And I think if Joe Linton's going to play like he did against Brighton, maybe he has a knock. You've got to play Ramsey, as you say.
Well,
But would you
it
like
would
to see them
be.
both start?
Well, I was going to say it would be lovely if we still had the Geordie Maradona to play.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, he's at Nottingham Forest now. Would have to make do with the Geordie Tonali, Smiley Tonali. Yeah,
Smiley, Miley.
I think Lewis Miley has been studying Sandro Tonali, and you can't
Yeah,
learn from anyone better. But he reminds me so much of how Tonali plays. He's very, very functional. I still need him to show a bit more ambition and a bit more confidence when it comes to
he's passing forward.
forward balls because he's
Yeah,
capable. But I was encouraged by his role in assisting Voltemada against Brighton because he got in beyond the ball, picked the ball up in the box, beat his man, and put a great cross in, which required Voltemada to do something pretty special to score from. But that shows
it's still
confidence that
getting
he's
him in
got
the
high up.
position. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't mind if they both started at all. I
Mhm.
imagine if Tonali's ill, he'll still be on the bench. He would
Yeah,
come on if
I'd agree.
Miley really looked overawed, but we wouldn't expect him to be overawed. He's been a Champions League player for 2 years now, and he's been training with the first team since he was about 16. So yeah, don't know where Joe Willock is. Is he still stuck in the York maze? I mean, he could be an option if Jacob Ramsey's still rusty, not up to speed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always the chance. I mean, he's one of those, isn't he, where he just seems to go missing for long periods of the season, and it's usually an injury. It doesn't seem like that at the minute. I think he's been on the bench for the last few games, just unused.
Mm,
Maybe we're looking at it and going, he's actually sixth choice now, behind Ramsey, behind Miley, and of course the three starters. But we mentioned our team news there. Benfica have a little bit of themselves. Alexander Barr, the right back, is out injured with a cruciate ligament. Bruma, the left winger, also has a big injury. He's a very pacey, tricky winger. So probably good that he's not around. But Mourinho did have the chance to rest most of his starters because they only played in the Portuguese Cup against a second-tier opponent on Friday. That means Antonali Trubin will be back in goal. Nicolas Otamendi and Antonio Silva will be a centre-back partnership. You've got the experienced veteran in Otamendi there and the young Antonio Silva who looks fantastic. And then Pavlidis, if anyone watches England games, he's the Greek lad that got a brace against England and has a hat-trick against Barcelona in the Champions League to his name. So he's back. That does look like it's going to be a dangerous, dangerous team to play against. But the Mourinho way, as you say, he'll probably try and soak up pressure, and he'll probably try and tell the referees everything there is to know about football just to try and get something on his side. But we haven't got Jose, but we've got Jesse to tell you about our second advert, and that is Zencastr.
Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone
and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
I tell you what, after 4 defeats on the bounce, Jesse is still as pumped up as ever. So you really have to thank the Scouser that doesn't sound Scouse. But speaking of, well, controversial decisions, should we say, because that's what Man United's first goal was apparently. Referee reputation. Simon Marciniak is viewed as one of the greatest referees in the world. But you and I may know him as the referee that gave the Paris Saint-Germain penalty in Paris, the 93rd minute or whatever it was, against Tino Livramento. And guess what? He's back. Thankfully, Tino's not going to be on the pitch to give away a controversial penalty. But when you hear a referee that's done you dirty in the past coming back, it doesn't fill you with confidence, does it?
Well, that was a terrible decision. To be fair, though, for the first 93 minutes,
He was good.
like Newcastle taking the lead and Paris desperate, he didn't bend any rules to let Paris get back in. He was quite strong against the Paris Ultras. That's marginal. You know, we've had dodgy penalties that were equally as. I'm thinking of Anthony Gordon's toenail being stepped on a couple of times. We've got the penalty for it.
That
It
doesn't
was a
fit
bad
my
decision.
agenda.
I know. Look, let's focus on the fact that he's regarded by most as one of the best
Best in the
referees
world.
in the world,
Yeah.
and he's going to come into the cauldron. If he is going to be swayed by noisy crowds, it's our noisy crowd that's going to be in his ear all the way through this game.
Yeah. I'd be very interested to see if there's odds actually somewhere for Jose Mourinho to be sent off, because it's going to be one of those. He's going to be in the fourth official's ear the entire time, and if a referee as good as he is gets wind of that, he might just end up telling Jose, "Look, zip your trap or go back to Turkey." I guess it's Portugal now, isn't it? But just one word on Newcastle's star signing, Nick Vultemada, arguably the best striker signing of the transfer window. Hugo Ekitike maybe is up there as well. Went under the radar a bit in Germany, 5 goals already. Could you see him potentially getting a 6th for us against Benfica?
Of course, I can see him getting a 6th for us. If Otamendi is playing centre half and Gordon's running at him, I would say there's a chance somebody's going to get a penalty to take. And if Gordon's already gone off, it'll be Voltemada. Actually, Gordon couldn't be fouled for a penalty if he's already gone off. But you know what I mean?
I know what
Why
you
not?
mean. I know what you
Why
mean.
not? Voltemada is the man who's scoring our goals. And
Yeah.
every training session, we get to know him a little bit more. He gets to know us a little bit more. Murphy's assisted him. Miley's assisted him.
Yeah.
He's there. He's the man who's going to put them in, Michael. And without prejudging anything, I think we're going to score 3 tomorrow night. So he's bound to get one of them.
Ooh. Well, I tell you what, you've gone a little early, not too much early though. So I'm going to ask you for your prediction going on that. I know you have something lined up.
I'm waiting for my tea, Michael. So I thought I'd push you along to the prediction end. I rather tongue in cheek all the way through last year predicted us to win 3-1 all of the time, and we did a few times.
did.
So in fact,
We did.
if you backed it, you would have made a profit. And I haven't predicted 3-1 this year. However, tomorrow night I'm going for Newcastle to beat Benfica 3-1. I have
Chills.
Voltemada to score. I'm going to go for Gordon to get a penalty, and
Yeah.
it will be the. Let's say it's a towering Sven Botman header. It'd be lovely if it was Malek Chow. Sven Botman's played a lot of games and he's only ever scored once, I think. But yeah, Botman with a header. There you go. Botman, Gordon, Voltemada. Don't care who scores for Benfica. It'll be the Greek lad. The Greek lad will get one.
Yeah, fair enough. To be honest, I was thinking along the same lines as you, but I am actually going to change it up a little bit, and I am going to say I think it's going to be a pretty stale 1-0 victory. I think the atmosphere will be fantastic. Jose Mourinho will come and potentially play the Jose Mourinho way. I didn't think that would happen at the start of this pod, but I've kind of been convinced a little bit. They'll try and hit us on the counter. They'll maybe try and focus on set pieces. We'll manage to break them down, and it's probably going to be Big Nick getting the goal once again. But we do need goals from other places. And to be fair, Barnes has one now. It's his only goal. Maybe he'll come on and be the difference. I just need a winger to start doing something. Because they've not been good enough, have they?
Well, I forget what I said in a previous part, that it could even be a Jacob Murphy from outside the box.
Oh, I would love that. Jacob Murphy gets it'll be his first Champions League goal, I believe. Yeah. I don't think he definitely didn't score 2 years ago. So I would love to see him on the score sheet. Yeah, absolutely. But there you have it. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. kickoff at St. James's Park. You'll be able to hear the atmosphere all the way up here in Blythe. And I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. Hope you enjoy the game. I'll see you afterwards for the immediate reaction. And for now, see you later.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.